Christina Hall deleted every photo of her third husband in a single afternoon. Days later, $35,000 mysteriously moved between their accounts, and lawyers started circling. But the most shocking part was not the money or the accusations. It was what happened next on national television. Cameras kept rolling as her marriage collapsed in real time, and viewers watched a competition show turn into the most painful confession of her career. What she admitted changed everything people thought about her past. Christina Hall was born on July 9, 1983, in Anaheim, California, growing up in Orange County with her little sister Carly, who arrived 10 years after her. Her world was full of coastal air, quiet cul-de-sacs, and long drives through Anaheim Hills, the kind of setting that later became the backbone of her brand without her even knowing it. When other kids begged to go to the mall, Christina loved when her parents said they were going to an open house. She would walk into those model homes and fall silent, not out of shyness, but because her mind started working. She noticed the shape of the rooms, the colors on the walls, the way the couch sat under the window. Before she ever stood in front of a camera, she was already building a private language of layouts, textures, and light. Those weekend visits were not just family outings. They were quiet training sessions. While Carly tagged along, Christina studied everything. She looked at kitchen cabinets and wondered what would happen if they were white instead of oak. She looked at old tile and pictured new flooring. In her head, she flipped houses long before she knew what that word meant on television. Most kids her age were thinking about toys or TV shows. Christina was thinking about how to make a room feel fresh and inviting. That private habit stayed with her. It turned into a steady thread that ran through her childhood, through high school, and into the life she eventually built on HGTV. She stayed close to home when it was time for school. Christina went to local schools in Southern California and graduated from Canyon High School in Anaheim in 2001. When some classmates dreamed about leaving for New York or chasing big city degrees in Los Angeles, she chose the quieter path. She enrolled at a local college or community college and kept her world small on purpose. Staying near home meant she could keep her roots in Orange County, keep watching the houses change, and keep thinking about a future that did not depend on a famous campus name. Those years did not come with prestige or headlines, but they shaped her attitude. She learned to move step by step, to build instead of chase. Her education was practical, local, and steady, and it matched the way she worked. It gave her enough foundation to trust her own choices instead of waiting for someone else to open a door. Even then, she thought her path might look very different. Before real estate and television entered the picture, Christina was drawn to the idea of becoming a sports agent. She watched the movie Jerry Maguire and felt something click. The phone calls, the contracts, the high-stakes conversations, and the idea of being the one who negotiated big deals all grabbed her. She liked the thought of being her own boss, of being the person at the center of a deal rather than someone waiting on the outside. That dream never turned into a career in sports, but it did something important. It taught her that she loved negotiation, that she liked pressure, and that she wanted control over her working life. Later, when she walked into real estate offices and sat across from clients, those early dreams showed up in the way she talked, the way she pushed, and the way she handled money and risk. The real turning point came in college, when she was around 21. There was no master plan, no long-written list of goals. She has said that she felt it intuitively. She decided to get her real estate license. She took the courses through a local community college, studied the rules and contracts, and passed the exam. That paper license did not look like much, but it changed everything. She started as an ordinary agent and did not imagine that a camera crew would ever follow her. All she saw at first were listings, clients, and the chance to prove herself. Still, that decision quietly set the stage for flipping houses, then for auditions, and finally for her own television shows. Without that choice at 21, there would be no national brand with her name on it. Around age 21, something shifted. Without a long plan or roadmap, Christina followed a gut feeling and decided to get her real estate license through a local community college. It felt intuitive, almost accidental, but it changed everything. She entered the industry young and hungry, working full-time as an agent for Prudential in Orange County. The days were long. Open houses stretched into evenings. Weekends disappeared. She chased cold leads and competed in a crowded market while living paycheck to paycheck. She learned fast because she had to. By 2005, she was gaining traction, but then the ground fell out. When the housing market crashed in 2008, everything tightened. Sales slowed. Pressure rose. Around that time, Christina met Tarek El Moussa while working at Prudential. They connected through shared ambition and constant grind. Together, they formed the El Moussa Group and pushed hard in a market that punished hesitation. After the crash, they pivoted into flipping homes. In 2010, they bought their first investment property in Santa Ana for $115,000 and flipped it for a $34,000 profit. Every dollar went back into the next project. They took risks, sometimes buying homes sight unseen at auction, tearing them down to the studs, rebuilding kitchens, adding bathrooms, and reshaping layouts. The margins were thin. The stress was real. Still, they kept going. By 2011, Tarek filmed a full house flip and sent it to HGTV as a demo. They had nothing to lose. At the time, they were still living in a $700 a month apartment, surviving on hustle and belief. Within a year, HGTV signed them. Flip or Flop premiered on April 16, 2013. Christina became the design heart of the show, choosing finishes, layouts, and staging that felt modern but reachable. Viewers connected. Ratings exploded. Over 10 seasons and more than 150 episodes, the show drew tens of millions of viewers and turned them into household names. The numbers proved it. Flip or Flop debuted on April 16, 2013. During its first summer run, it reached an average of 22.7 million total viewers. Over the next decade, it ran for 10 seasons, from 2013 to 2022, with more than 150 episodes that drew over 90 million viewers in total. Most seasons had between 12 and 15 episodes, with 1 or 2 house flips in each one. By the time the show ended, it had become HGTV's most watched home renovation series. Christina and Tarek were no longer just local agents. They were one of the network's most recognizable power couples, carrying an entire franchise on their shoulders. Yet, behind the polished reveals, pressure was building. Just months after the show premiered, in 2013, Tarek was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. A nurse watching the show had emailed the production team after spotting a lump on his neck. Within days, he underwent surgery, and doctors found that the cancer had already reached his lymph nodes. They removed his thyroid and the affected nodes. Only a few months later, he discovered he also had testicular cancer and went through another surgery. He began chemotherapy and radioactive iodine therapy while still filming episodes. That same year, cameras captured him flipping houses, even as he quietly fought for his health off-screen. At the same time, Christina was dealing with a private battle of her own. She has spoken openly about having polycystic ovary syndrome, a condition that can cause irregular cycles and make it hard to conceive. After welcoming their daughter Taylor in 2009, she and Tarek wanted a second child, but the process became long and painful. In 2015, after a year of trying, they turned to in vitro fertilization. Their first IVF attempt failed. The second led to a pregnancy that ended in a miscarriage at around 8 weeks. Those losses came while their fame was rising, and their faces were on television screens across the country. During the third IVF cycle, Christina was ordered to stay on strict bed rest. She spent a full week confined to bed, and then 13 weeks on limited activity, unable to lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk. The emotional and physical strain was enormous, but that cycle finally brought their son Braden in August 2015. She later described those years as a roller coaster of hope and heartbreak. All of this happened while the cameras kept rolling. On set, they were expected to walk through houses, crack jokes, and talk confidently about tile choices. Off-set, they were rushing to hospital appointments, dealing with lab results, and managing hormone treatments. Christina has described the emotional whiplash of smiling through a renovation scene during the day and crying from exhaustion at night. Tarek filmed while dealing with surgeries and side effects from chemotherapy and later hormone therapy. The show showed buyers and sellers. It did not show the nights when they lay awake worrying about cancer, fertility, or their future together. The network schedule did not leave much room to slow down. HGTV had tight production timelines and a constant demand for new episodes. Social media added another layer of weight. Every episode brought comments, opinions, and endless public judgment about their marriage, their parenting, and their choices. Very few viewers knew the full reality of their health battles. The pressure to keep up appearances, both for the cameras and online, pushed them to keep performing even when they were drained. That silence about their private pain magnified the strain on both their marriage and their business. By 2016, the cracks were starting to show in public. On May 23rd of that year, after years of stress, health scares, and constant work, a heated argument broke out at their home in Yorba Linda, California. Tarek left the house and walked toward nearby Chino Hills State Park with a handgun. Someone called 911 to report a possibly suicidal man with a gun. Police responded with multiple units and a helicopter, turning what began as a private fight into a widely covered incident. Officers eventually located Tarek, and a helicopter hovered overhead. He later recalled standing there with dust swirling around him from the blades as a loudspeaker ordered him to raise his hands. He was handcuffed and sat on a cooler in his own driveway for hours while police investigated. From Christina's side, the scene looked terrifying. She has said that she called 911 because she feared for his safety, not because she believed he wanted to hurt anyone else. The full police response, the helicopter, and the media coverage that followed made the incident look even more dramatic to the outside world. The police later confirmed that there was no evidence of violence or intent to harm others, but by then, the damage was done. For Christina, it was a moment of desperation. For both of them, it marked a line they could not easily step back over. Tarek later tried to explain what had happened from his perspective. He said that he took the gun as a precaution in case he ran into wildlife on the trail, since the area had mountain lions and bobcats, and he had a legal concealed carry permit. He said he just wanted to clear his head with a walk after the argument and did not realize how scared Christina was or how quickly the situation would escalate. He described feeling deeply embarrassed when he saw the helicopter and understood that the police were there because someone thought he might be a danger to himself. Looking back, he has admitted that his mental state at the time was tangled up in more than just that one day. Part of that mental state, he later revealed, came from heavy hormone treatments. After his cancer diagnosis, he began taking high doses of testosterone and human chorionic gonadotropin. The combination left him exhausted, emotionally unstable, and physically off balance. He has said that the treatments contributed to erratic behavior, and made it harder to manage stress. Both he and Christina have pointed to that period as the time when their 7-year marriage truly started to break apart. Health problems, the side effects of treatment, and the constant need to perform in public all fed into the same storm. Despite the gun incident in May 2016, they did not announce a separation right away. Instead, they continued filming Flip or Flop together as if nothing had changed, keeping their split private for months while the cameras followed them through more renovations. Only in December 2016 did they publicly confirm that they were separating. Their joint statement described the incident at their home as an unfortunate misunderstanding, emphasized that there was no violence and no charges, and tried to keep the focus on their children. Their divorce became final in January 2018. Through all of this, the show stayed on the air. Their daughter, Taylor, born in 2009, and their son, Braden, born in 2014, watched their parents shift from spouses to co-parents under a spotlight that never really turned off. What happened next was something viewers were not used to seeing. Instead of walking away from the show once their marriage ended, Christina and Tarek kept co-hosting. From 2017 through 2022, Flip or Flop continued with new episodes, which meant filming together for more than 4 years after their divorce. Fans and reporters watched their interactions closely, studying eye contact and offhand comments for hints of old tension or new affection. Their scenes became part renovation, part real-time study of two people trying to stay professional after their personal life had collapsed. In a world where reality couples often vanish when relationships end, their decision to keep working together became its own story. In June 2018, the network behind her rise made a clear decision about her future. HGTV announced that Christina Hall, who had already gone through a very public split from Tarek El Moussa, would stand on her own with a new show called Christina on the Coast. It was not just another renovation series. The idea was to follow her in Southern California as she worked on high-end homes while also quietly rebuilding her own life. To make that point clear, the plan for the very first episode was simple and personal. Cameras would watch her renovate her new home, the one she bought after the divorce, and walk with her as she tried to start again. Filming began in the fall of 2018, and by May 23, 2019, Christina on the Coast was ready to air. The premiere did more than show tiles, lighting, and floor plans. It followed Christina in Newport Beach as she turned an empty house into a place she wanted to call home. Viewers saw her making design decisions while also dealing with life as a mother of 3. They watched school runs, family moments, and quiet scenes where she explained how it felt to rebuild after a breakup that the whole world had watched. The producers blended her work and her home life on purpose, so every wall she painted and every room she finished carried a little piece of her own restart. That first episode set the tone for everything that followed and told the audience that this was a story about resilience and reinvention, not just countertops. As the show grew, Christina's role behind the camera started to change as well. She did not only stand in front of the crew and deliver lines about design choices. She stepped into the position of executive producer on Christina on the Coast and later on its country-based sister show. With that shift, she gained more control over the stories that went on television. She could help decide which clients to feature, which parts of her personal life to show, and how each season would build her larger brand. That move turned her from a simple home renovation personality into someone shaping a full business image. She was curating not only kitchens and living rooms, but also the way the public saw the name Christina. Then came the next pivot. In May 2021, she bought a farmhouse in Franklin, Tennessee, far from the beaches that had defined her brand. That purchase opened the door to a new series called Christina in the Country, which premiered in 2022. Instead of coastal blues and open-glass views, she leaned into wood beams, warm tones, and wide outdoor spaces. The projects in Tennessee felt different, and yet stayed connected to her story. She took on work for family members, such as her husband's sister and brother-in-law, and showed how she could adjust to a rural setting without losing her style. The move to Tennessee widened her audience, bringing in viewers who cared more about land and porches than ocean views. And it proved that her design eye could move between two very different worlds. While her shows expanded, Christina also began to appear across the wider world of reality television. HGTV used her in guest roles, and in 2023 she joined Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge as a contestant, competing with other network faces in a playful but high-pressure design competition. She showed up on other specials, took seats on judging panels, and appeared on Brother vs. Brother to help decide who did the better flip. She even crossed over into food-based shows for guest spots, which kept her in front of viewers who might not watch home renovation on a regular basis. Step by step, she became one of the main faces of the network, a person who could move through different formats and still feel familiar to the audience. Behind that media presence was a personal life that had already weathered serious strain. Christina married Tarek El Moussa on April 17, 2009, on Coronado Island in California, after they had been dating since 2006. Their relationship began when both were real estate agents, and they moved in together on their first date, which set an intense rhythm from the very beginning. In September 2010, their daughter Taylor Reese was born. In 2015, after fertility issues that were difficult and public, they welcomed their son, Braden James. During this time, their show Flip or Flop launched in 2013 and turned them into home renovation stars. However, what looked successful on television was harder in private. Tarek's cancer diagnosis in 2013 brought fear and stress into their home. Financial tensions from their business added more pressure. By December 2016, the marriage had broken apart, and their separation became public. The divorce was finalized in January 2018. The end of the marriage involved disputes over property, money, and how to divide what they had built together, and both sides were accused of hiding assets or pushing emotional claims in court. Viewers kept watching Flip or Flop while this was unfolding, which made the split feel even more exposed. Not long after that, Christina stepped into a second marriage. In July 2018, she married British television host Ant Anstead after a fast-moving romance. On February 1, 2019, their son Hudson was born, and from the outside, it looked like she had settled into a new family unit. Yet, the marriage did not last. By September 2020, they announced their separation, and by June 2021, the divorce was complete. The biggest storm from that breakup did not arrive until 2022, when a custody fight over Hudson moved into the courts. In April 2022, Ant filed for full custody of Hudson. In his filing, he accused Christina of using their son in paid social media content and claimed that this exposure was harmful and unnecessary. He said that featuring Hudson in promotional posts was exploitative and put the boy in the middle of public attention for profit. At first, both parents had agreed to share legal and physical custody, but now he wanted that changed. Christina responded by denying those claims and said she was simply sharing her life as a parent and that Hudson was always safe. The back and forth played out in headlines, and fans took sides online. By December 2022, the two reached a settlement that kept joint custody in place, but the fight left a mark on her image and fed a larger public conversation about children, privacy, and social media. The pattern of scrutiny continued. tabloids pointed again and again to how quickly Christina entered new relationships. They reminded readers that she started seeing Ant not long after her split with Tarek. And later, they did the same when she moved on from Ant. Stories accused her of using motherhood in posts to drive engagement and suggested that she used her children as part of her celebrity brand. There was a constant tension between her HGTV success and the way gossip outlets framed her as a controversial figure whose love life and parenting were always under inspection. In October 2021, she married Josh Hall in a quiet ceremony that stayed private at first. A second, more public wedding took place in Hawaii in September 2022. The marriage was presented as a fresh start. On social media and on television, the two appeared as a unified team while her shows and business grew. Yet the stability did not hold. By July 2024, Josh filed for divorce, stating that they had irreconcilable differences and asking for spousal support. Their split quickly escalated into a legal and emotional fight. Court papers showed that Christina filed her own request for divorce on July 23, 2024, listing July 7th as the date of separation, while Josh gave a slightly later date. He claimed she had moved $35,000 from her funds into his account after they separated. She denied this and accused him of mishandling money. Along with that, she asked for sole access to their Newport Beach home and to 2 Tennessee properties, saying it was necessary for the safety and stability of her children. Soon after, fans noticed that she deleted posts that featured Josh from her social media feed. The marriage had ended, and the cleanup was very public. Then the story of the flip-off added a new twist in 2025. After the public and difficult divorce, Josh Hall did not return as a competitor in the season's events. His absence itself felt like a statement. Christina stepped into challenges without him, often relying on guest helpers to fill that role. Footage from the show revealed tense arguments from earlier days, including moments where Josh accused her of being rude and questioned her loyalty to the Hall name. The divorce was finalized in August 2025, and audiences watched much of the journey almost as it unfolded. That combination of real-time fallout and long-running television history made the season one of the most discussed reality projects on the channel. Amid all this turbulence, Christina's personal life took another turn, but this time she chose to move with more privacy. In October 2024, she began a relationship with Christopher LaRocca, a businessman who serves as chief executive and president of Network Connex. Their connection became public in early 2025, yet she shared only small parts of it with the world. They reportedly met at a Mexican restaurant in Newport, and she has described the relationship as one built on shared growth and understanding. His quiet, professional presence stood apart from the drama that had surrounded some of her past relationships and offered a sense of calm as she tried to move forward. At the same time, her life with her former husbands took on a new shape. Her co-parenting approach started to draw praise rather than criticism. Tarek El Moussa said publicly that their relationship was better than it had been in years, and that both of them were focused on making life stable and healthy for their children. He even included Christina and her partner in family events, which showed how far they had come from the bitter days of their divorce. Aunt Anstead also expressed a wish to keep peace for Hudson's sake, and both men appeared as guest judges on the flip-off to support the broader family story. Together, they showed that even in the middle of past fights and public trials, it was possible to create a working, respectful structure for the children.